Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for X-Men Blue Origins. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team here before we get into the book. This book is written by Simon Spurrier, who's really been doing a lot of the Nightcrawler stuff. I think Cy Spurrier has been Nightcrawler's writer for pretty much since I would like to say after Hoxpox, but I'll have to go back and check on that. We also have art by Marcos Tell and Will Santos, inks by Oren Jr., and colors by Ceci de la Cruz. In this issue, the definitive Nightcrawler story. This is the one you can't miss. True believer, you think you know how beloved Blue Devil came into this troubled world. You think you know the tale of his mendacious mama Mystique. You don't. Mother and son reunite in a mold-shattering tale that exposes secrets held for decades and redefines both characters forever, a collector's item in the making. Well, that just seems like good marketing right there, like calling it a collector's item. But yeah, the Nightcrawler origin, I think it's very convoluted, and I feel like this book will either clear things up or add some more layers that may not even make sense. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. As we come to what we're expecting to be the closeout of this era of Krakoa and the fall of X. I'm very interested to see where this character goes, especially because Nightcrawler has probably been one of the characters that's been through the ringer the most. Let's take a look at some of the preview art here. Now, I am familiar with both of these artists, but I don't know whose pages are whose. I would think they would use different artists for maybe the flashbacks and the present storyline. So we'll have to see about that. I'll definitely cover more about this book, but it looks very interesting. We can see a Sasso here, and of course, Nightcrawler's in his Uncanny Spider-Man outfit at the moment. Also, some beautiful covers that you'll see at the end of the video. So yeah, very excited for this one. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for The Amazing Spider-Man Gang War First Strike #1. That's a mouthful, but let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Zeb Wells with Cody Ziegler, Joey Vasquez on art with Julian Shaw, and Brian Valenza on colors, letters by Joe Caramagna. So this is the first strike towards the gang war. We Marvel usually does a lot of these books like leading up to an event, which I think help you get caught up if you haven't been fully reading this series. So I think if you don't want to catch up on everything Spider-Man, some of these are very good to kind of have the setting plays. And we have a couple of gang war titles actually out this week. So check out the channel for more previews of that. In this book, The Prelude to Gang War, the supercrime landscape of New York has been on edge. The issue, they jump over that edge. What incites the war? Who hired Shotgun and took out Tombstone? What, if anything, can Spider-Man do about it? Everything you need to know before Gang War officially kicks off next month here in this issue. So that's very cool. I do like that Cody Ziegler is involved with this event. I mean, they're going to be kind of weaving in and out of the Spider-Man family of books. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. And we know that after that wedding issue, things didn't really go very well. So, but let's take a look at some of the preview art. Marvel did put out some preview art for this. And I think I like the tone of it. It looks very serious. I do think it's funny that, the interpretation of some of these characters, like Hammerhead. Does everyone have flat tops in New York? What's going on? Is that the trend in New York? But we do get to see Spider-Man and Miles, both Miles and Peter Spider-Man, working together, which is always fun. But I do like that. I forget the name of this villain, but he's just very fast, and they use him a lot to just kind of like they use him as a transition villain. I like to call it, where our heroes they need to do some exposition. So in the meanwhile, they chase this guy. I've seen him in a few, especially Spider-Man stuff, because he's a New York villain. So that's pretty interesting. So we'll have some of the covers at the end of the video. Stay tuned for those. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for Spider-Woman #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Steve Fox with art by Carola Borelli, art of Prianton colors, letters by Joe Sabino. This is a gang war inclusion of the issue. So I'm wondering here, and I'll go over the synopsis in a second, but I looked at the um I looked at the schedule for the release of this, and I'm wondering if it's going to be a gang war related short miniseries or a new Spider Woman ongoing that just happens to kick off with the gang war tie-in. So I'll be interested to see more of that. But they have solicited 4 issues as of the recording of this preview. So in this issue, Gang War First Strike, the Web of Destiny restores Spider Woman's life, but even Captain Marvel and Madam Web can tell something has changed. Now, Spider Man wants to recruit her for the new team because Viper has engineered a deadly union between Hydra and Diamondback. That's about to tear the city apart, bringing forth a new foe powerful enough to destroy the city while burning down Spider Woman's world to the ground. Don't miss out on this action packed premiere that features Captain Marvel, Spider Man, Viper, Diamondback, and introduces the new force of evil in Spider Woman's world. That seems very interesting. Also, in that anniversary issue for Spider-Man, we know that Jessica's looking for her baby. Who's got Jessica's baby? Hopefully, we'll find out in this series. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. And it's a little weird that Marvel decided to go back to Spider-Woman's original costume or the old costume. I kind of like the look with the jacket and all that, but uh, we'll see. We'll see how it evolves. I know not everyone will enjoy that. But yeah, this looks very interesting. I always think her powers are so interesting because she's related to the spider people really only in name. Maybe now some more that the web of life has brought her back. So I don't know. This looks interesting. I'll definitely check it out. I like Steve Fox's writing, so that's definitely a plus. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for Luke Cage Gang War #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Rodney Barnes with Raymond F. Box on art, Andrew Dahos on colors, letters by Travis Lanham. Um, so this week we have 2 series kind of related to Gang War kicking off: Luke Cage and Spider Woman. Whereas I believe that Spider Woman is an ongoing. I think Luke Cage Gang War will just be a mini series for this. Now I don't know that exactly because there are 4 issues solicited for this series so far. So I don't know if maybe it's going to be like a 5 issue mini or if it's going to be an ongoing. But the fact that the name Gang War is in the title leads me to believe that that's not the case. Now things have changed a lot since Devil's Reign. Luke has become the mayor of New York City, so it's going to be interesting to see him step back into the streets. So in this first issue, Gang War First Strike, in the wake of the Anti-Vigilante Act, Luke Cage has been trying to save the city from behind the desk, but a meeting with an old friend, Danny Rand, reminds him of the good old days when problems could be punched in order to solve them. As New York descends into gang war, Luke must use every power he has to protect the innocent and save the city. Uh, Very interesting because, yeah, I really like the fact that we're going to have. I think Luke Cage has been doing a lot of good for the city as mayor, but of course, this is comic book, so like you have to punch stuff and kick stuff, and he is also Power Man. So like really interesting kind of like decision to make there. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. Um, I haven't been keeping up with Luke Cage much other than when he shows him some of these one shots. But yeah, I like him reuniting with Danny. I will say, until I read the synopsis, I did not know that this was Danny at the diner with him until I read when I was putting together the presentation for this. Um, so it's interesting that whereas Luke Cage has a very distinct look um, and like and Danny kind of just looks like a regular dude. So, but yeah, I love this. I love that big page of him smashing. I'm always confused some about how Luke Cage's powers work. Like I know he has unbreakable skin, but how much strength does that give him? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the series, if it's only going to be for the gang war event or if it's going to be something more. Like if Luke Cage is ready to have a new ongoing or at least maybe a larger series. So we'll. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for Howard the Duck #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team here as we celebrate 50 years of Howard the Duck. In this issue, we have writer Chip Zdarsky with art by Joe Quinones, inks by Jordan Gibb, colors by Stacey Lee, and letters by Travis Lanham. And of course, many celebratory variant covers for Howard the Duck you can see at the end of the video. So, in this issue, Chip Zdarsky, Joe Quinones, and friends help Howard celebrate his 50th anniversary in an all-new one-shot. It's a bummer that it's a one-shot. I was expecting maybe at least a miniseries, but at least Howard gets one book. So meet Howard. He's a hard-boiled PI with problems by the duckload, but a cosmic all-seeing friend known as Peeper, what a name, is giving him a chance to see what his life could be, the joys he could have, and all the ways his life could suck way less than it does now in other worlds. Think of it as a what if. That's supposed to sound like if a duck is saying it, I guess. I'm not a duck, so interesting, interesting stuff. Um, let's take a look at some of the preview art because it looks like we are gonna get not just Joe, but a whole bunch of creative folks in this one shot. So I don't have any names except what we show in the preview pages. So we'll take a look at that. It looks like the framing device, though, it's what Chip Zdarsky and Joe Quinones are doing. So that makes perfect sense. And here we see Daniel Smith and Annie Wu in the What If. Let's see. We also have an X-Men story that I think it's a different story. Maybe it's from a different story. Maybe we also see Merritt K and Will Robson in a different story of what if Howard the Duck became the new Star Lord. So yeah, this is just gonna be a whole bunch of these. It almost feels to me like it's a Wonderful Life, but like with what ifs, which is very cool and definitely something thematic for the holiday season. So there you go. I've also never heard of this character. The Peeper, maybe it's somebody that Chip Zdarsky created in the past during his run of Howard. I hear that's a very popular run. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Marvel Zombies Black, White, and Blood #2. This is the anthology from Marvel. In this issue, you can't run, you can't hide. Prepare for the horror, the mighty Marvel fashion from beyond the grave. We have multiple stories, so we'll get into that in a minute, where we'll see a Matt Reed Richards works in desperation, a lone warrior standing tall against the galaxy of the undead, and an unstoppable X-Force that faces its greatest foe yet. In the second installment of the all-new Marvel Zombies anthology series, your favorite and soon-to-be favorite creators tell the most haunting stories their minds can muster, rendered in shades of black, white, and blood. Um, so yeah, let's talk about those creators. In this issue, we have stories by, first of all, we have Under the Eye of an Unkind Future. This is the Fantastic Four story written by Gail Simone with art by Dale Eaglesham, colors by Yen Nitro. And we also have The Last Ballad of Better Ray Bill by Erica Schultz with art by Nelson Daniel. And then last we have Warpath. This is the X-Force story by Doug Warner, and art by Juan Gideon and D. Conafi on colors. So this was quite a fun. Um, well, fun is a maybe a strong word, but it was a very interesting. It's weird to say fun because it is about zombies and about them killing people in the Marvel universe. And the first story is pretty depressing. So yeah, Gail Simone. As much as I Gail Simone to me always feels like a very comedic, funny writer, but boy, she brought out the big guns for the feels on this story. So, and of course, paired up with some beautiful art. Let me pull up some preview art here. As you can see, it is great stuff. Now, I will say these are kind of shades of orange, so maybe they're stretching the what the part a little bit, but it's still very good for the it makes sense in the story, and you do get a really interesting payoff. This is one of the most sympathetic reads that I've ever read, and if you have followed the channel, I'm not a big fan of Reed Richards. As far as I think he's kind of an asshole, and for the most part always kind of socially inept, to say the least. But boy, this one pays off greatly. Like the world of Marvel Zombies, um, it seems like most of the creators are playing with very similar rules, but not exactly the I think they all kind of stretch at the story in the way that they make it feel and make it fit better for their world. We also have the second story by Eric Schultz. This is the Better Ray Bill story, and boy, Better Ray Bill, like what a character to put into a Black, White, and Blood type of story. And of course, he is unaffected by the virus because of alien shenanigans, his species, whatever tolerance. That's not the important part. The important part is that he's going around the universe and trying to clean it up, trying to make sure that the undead don't spread this. But he has to face off against his friends, which is the part that comes in uh very like this is the hard part, right? Also, very interesting detail here, like you might have missed it. I missed it on the first read. I only saw it when I was putting this together for the review. Thor is carrying his axe, right? He's not carrying Mjolnir because he, as a zombie, he's not worthy, which is really cool, and it really comes into play later on in the story, um, because right as we can see here, Better Ray Bill currently is wielding Stormbreaker, his own hammer that was made for him. So yeah, really cool. I love the characters that were picked out to kind of be part of the story because they all make sense. They all make real great sense. Although Scarlet Witch kind of OP. I don't know, that's going to be a tough one to go up against. So, really cool stuff. And then the last story, the X Force. We have Warpath. Some of my favorite characters, like we have Feral, Cannonball, Siren, Spiral, which is interesting that this is an X Force with Spiral in it, and of course my girl Boom Boom, in Warpath, who is at the at the top of the story. But of course Warpath has a little bit of um, a healing factor, and he's kind of invulnerable to damage in a way, but not as strong as Wolverine, I would say. So it's really interesting to see what happens and who they have to face off. It's a gut punch too, especially if you're a big fan of the X Force. That's gonna be tough. So yeah, this story, great stuff. I love these anthology books. Keep them coming, Marvel. And once again, really hard to pick out which variant I wanted to pick. Uh, I will say it's really funny that all the covers for this issue, like, this happened in the first one too. They don't feature characters that are in the book itself, which is really wild to me. Um, like you would expect to see a Daredevil cover, or like here, let me show you the covers real quick. You would expect to see a Captain America story or a Guardian story or even a what is this symbiote related story, or maybe the X-Men. So yeah, but instead you get different character stories, which I would love a Beta Ray Bill cover, or I would love a Fantastic Four cover of this, or an X Force homage, maybe, so something like that. But yeah, really interesting the way these books are put together. So if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.